warrants. A warrant for a special church meeting from the county to Jane and Hodge, moderator of First Church in Pembroke in said county. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the members of First Church in Pembroke who are qualified to vote to meet at their meeting house at Fellowship Hall, 105 Center Street, Pembroke. Obviously, we're doing it here, not Fellowship Hall. On Sunday, January 11th, 2026, at 11 a.m., there to act on the following articles. Article 1, to see if the church will vote to call a Vicinage Council on Sunday, February 1st, 2026, at 2 p.m. for the Massachusetts Association of Congregational Churches to be present by pastor and/or delegate at our meeting house in Pembroke, to review our proceedings with respect to the calling of Reverend Joy Matos to serve as settled pastor, to meet and hear the pastor-elect, and to advise us with reference to the same, and if judged fitting, to proceed with us and aid in the service of the installation to be held at 4 p.m. on Sunday, January 1st, 2026. Article 2, to act upon the provision that, quote, those present at the time of the roll call shall constitute a quorum, unquote. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof as directed by the bylaws of the church 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the clerk of First Church in Pembroke at the time and place of the meeting as aforesaid. Given under our hand this 4th day of January 2026. It's signed by members of the Church Council. Pursuant to the herewithin warrant, I have notified and warned the members of said church to meet at the time and the place and for the purpose within mentioned by posting attested copies of within warrant at the main entrance to Fellowship Hall 7 days at least before the aforesaid meeting. And that's signed by me. So we need to vote on, we do have a quorum, correct? Yes. We have to have a quorum of at least 25 members. And the first vote will be to see if the church will call a Vicinage Council. So I think we can just do it by raising a hand. So I think before we actually do a vote, does everybody know what a Vicinage Council is? Is everybody clear on that? Okay. So I guess I'm raising my hand and asking that. So how many of you know what a Vicinage Council is? All right, so we better explain that. I know, so I just wanted to make sure that you understood what you were voting for in calling that. And so I brought this handy-dandy book, Searching, Calling, Ordaining, and Installing, right? So congregational churches have a wonderful, one of the best parts about congregationalism, I think, is the fellowship among the churches, right? So we're not alone, okay? We are a congregational church, but we're part of the larger body of Christ. And part of the larger, body of Christ is bigger, but body of congregational churches, all right? So one of the things that congregational churches do is they like to fellowship together, etc. But we also like to stand with one another in times of major decisions, right? Or in some cases, when there's trouble happening and, the church doesn't know what to do, churches are encouraged to call a Vicinage Council. So after you've gone through, making some decisions on your own, so with regard to the installation, my installation, right, the decision has already been, the search committee did the vetting, interviewing of various candidates, etc. Then they landed on one candidate, and they presented that candidate to the church members to vote to call that candidate, me, and you voted, right? And called me to be your pastor. The Vicinage Council
is it's an opportunity for the greater body of congregational churches in our area to come together and hear, okay, what did you all do? What was your process in calling this minister? It's also an opportunity for the greater body to hear from me, my testimony about who I am, what my beliefs are, and I had to actually turn in a paper with this information to all the members, all the ministers who've been invited to the Vicinage Council. And then we'll come together, and all of you are invited to come and be a part of and hear all of that, right? And then the pastors and church delegates who've been invited will then have a time to just interview me, ask me questions, etc. in your hearing. And then everyone will be asked, to leave the room, including me, and they will discuss. It's like, oh, whatever, right? And come to a decision whether they feel that comfortable in affirming my call to pastor this church, or whether they have suggestions or whatnot. In some cases, and I'll just say, so for one thing, I've been ordained in this among this regional council. I went through this process, the Vicinage Council, way back, well, not that way back, but 13, I don't know how many years, anyway, more than a decade ago, to be ordained, okay? So in some instances, churches call pastors who have not been ordained previously, so they'll go through this process. They will not only help share their insights with regard to ordination of that person, but also the fit of that person for that particular congregation, right? Sometimes I've been to at least one that I recall where the pastor had not come from a congregational background, so they weren't really familiar with congregationalism and how that works. So that Vicinage Council recommended that person, get more education on that prior to their getting ordained. So that kind of thing is what, and in this case, you'll get to hear more about who I am, what I believe, etc., along with all the other churches. All right. So it's two things. It's great fellowship. It introduces this church. All of you will get to meet pastors and representatives from our neighboring churches. Right? It introduces more fellowship, which is great, right? And will also help you, get a taste for congregationalism at its best. And I think this is congregationalism at its best, and where you can bring people together for ordination, installation, that kind of thing. But also, if there, in some cases, Vicinage councils are brought together, if there's something going on in the church that hasn't been able to be resolved, first of all, within the church, and you need more guidance and counsel, Vicinage Council can be called for that, where too, the pastors and other church representatives come together, and again, they would hear what's going on, and then they would give counsel. Now, the churches are autonomous, so you don't necessarily have to follow what they say, but it is beneficial, and I think, it's beneficial to the congregation to have that outside vote of confidence or whatever, counsel, advice. Okay, we good? That's basically what it is. Questions? All right, so hopefully now you know what you're voting on. Okay, all right, and we'll plan to do this at 2 o'clock the day of my installation, so we'll do the Vicinage Council, have a little break, and we'll do the installation service, and then dinner. So, anyways, all right.
Yes, Judy?
You need a motion?
I'll take a motion, sure.
I move to call and convene the Vicinage Council for the purpose of review and installation of joinettes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor of Judy's motion to call a Vicinage Council, just raise your hands. All opposed? Okay, that's unanimously passed. And the second article is to act on the provision that people that are present there will constitute a quorum. Can I have a motion on that one?
So moved.
And seconded by?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. And I have a motion to adjourn.
I will be adjourned.
Second.